Greetings and welcome, everyone. It's AYCG Moviecast, episode 557. I'm one of the hosts, Jim Gast, joined by Mike Sneedy.
What's up?
Or you find Sod.
Hey.
And yes, Tony Korkanakis.
Yo.
Welcome, guys. Welcome, listeners and viewers, to
Crew's
557.
back together.
We have everybody. We did it. We did it. Man, I don't know if it's a sign that maybe like summer's coming to an end soon, that we're all on the podcast.
Maybe.
But I don't know. I'm trying to play with my lights here. Hang on. There we go. Is that spooky? Is that too spooky, guys? What do you think? Good. Now I get my shiny bald head, but that's okay. Can't do anything about that, folks. That's just, I can wear a hat, I guess. But welcome to 557 of the Moviecast. We had an interesting weekend, I guess, at the box office. I was traveling. So for what I've watched, it's only been one thing. I had to watch the one thing. So, I can say that I watched The Suicide Squad. And that's about it for myself. Have y'all watched this?
No, I
plan
plan to.
for a second.
Yeah, Corey, you're frozen. Like, Corey's like, you are in the funniest picture ever, is he not, guys?
Yeah.
It's a good one.
How come?
I would just hear his disembodied voice. It's good.
My internet freaked out for a second.
Maybe
Hopefully
we'll restart.
I'll be back.
Are we gonna
You want to reload? Or reboot?
I mean, it'll come back at some point. If you can hear me, we're good.
We're good. Then let's just keep going. Okay. Unplug the camera and plug it back in, Corey. Mike, you saw it?
I did not see it. I caught up on something else. I'm way behind in everything.
Nope, nothing to it. No, you're caught up on
Loki.
Loki, right?
Yes.
So what did you think of Loki? I had to find out what you thought of Loki.
I really liked it. I think it's my favorite of the Marvel shows. I would probably go Loki, WandaVision, Captain Falcon, or whatever it was called.
I think it was a great. I think it was a great series. I think it was my favorite of all of them.
Yeah.
I do. It was a little non-ending-y, but I guess there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
So no, I liked it. I once I got through after the first episode, I just kind of binged 2 through 6 in 2 days. So it was good.
Yeah. Oh, good. I mean, that's good. You guys blitzed through it then. Wow. Yeah, it's interesting what the impact could be for the future of the Marvel Universe. That's what we talked about in our spoiler cast. So it's definitely more. I feel like this is more impactful for the Phase 4 that we're about to see. But
the funny thing about it though is the way it's set up. It could have a lot or no impact because everything can be in its own sort of pocket away from everything else. The way it's set up. True.
Different multiverse different variants, right?
Yeah.
So, all right. Anything else, Mike? What else you been watching?
I mean, just weird YouTube videos about sonic music, theory.
Okay.
Which, yeah, I've watched a lot of those, but no, that's most of it. I was thinking about Suicide Squad. I was actually interested in seeing it. I wanted to see if anyone wanted to actually go to a theater and see it, but that takes more planning than I'm able to do right now.
I went on vacation to Lake George, and I did a couple cruise ships across the lake, and I didn't feel comfortable. I'm already at that point, being vaccinated again, where I'm starting to not feel comfortable around people because I don't trust anybody. Well, and so I don't think movie theaters for me are going to happen. I think I'm out on the movie theaters. Maybe. I mean, it's bouncing around in my head right now. Do I want to go to a movie theater?
I actually, a week or so ago, last Wednesday, went with some friends to a Red Bulls game, and I was curious there was no real enforcement or anything of masks.
Well, it's outdoors at least, right? I mean, that's, that was my thing for my ship thing.
They're still.
I don't think you're gonna get anybody to wear a mask at a stadium.
No, I mean there's a handful of people, but it felt a little weird, but I was also like, well, this is this now.
My thing was just the way that they were packing us in. I'm like, I don't feel comfortable with this on this boat, but we already had paid for it, so I'm like, I guess we're going. And you're just holding your breath, and you know, obviously I didn't get COVID issues. I had maybe salmonella poisoning issues, which is a different story entirely. But you know, I didn't get it. I don't think I got it.
Also, like when 2 weeks back, I did get sick and got tested 2 ways, and it was just a cold from being basically a germaphobe for the previous year. It was both negative, but it was a decent cold.
So I don't know. For me, like I want to see Shang-Chi. Is that going to be on Disney Plus? I don't think it is.
No.
Yeah. So like I really want to see this.
Now everything is falling apart with how it's been.
Drive-in solution.
Drive-in, yes.
It's all Scarlett Johansson's fault.
This was already planned beforehand, Mike. Like that's the weird part. It's like pick and choose. I saw that. Not to get into news, obviously we have a lot more to what we've been up to with the Suicide Squad, but Warner Brothers reached a deal with AMC for that 45-day window now for next year for the Batman and I can't remember what else movie, but Fantastic Beasts 3. So there will be only a 45-day window in the theaters, but exclusive and not HBO Max until that point. So that looks like that's our future for next year, which may or may not change depending on how this Delta variant keeps growing. But it makes me feel better because I want to see those movies, but if things don't change the way they are now, I would not go to the theaters to see those at this point. Like, you know what I mean? Like I don't know if I want to. Like I don't know. But anyways, so. Like I said, I saw the Suicide Squad. Corey, did you see that?
Yes.
Tony, did you see that?
Yeah, so I actually saw 2 movies last week. One of them was a blast from the past. One of them was Suicide Squad. So my free company, Final Fantasy 14, because they're mostly a bit younger than me, had never either forgot or did not know that back in 2001, Square Enix tried to dabble in the movie industry and released Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within.
They didn't know this, really? How old are these people?
Dude, there's like 20 to like 25-year-olds, and that's like when they were born and stuff like that. So it was on sale a couple weeks ago from Amazon for like $5, and I made a joke. I was like, who, am I the one that remembers this movie? And they're like, what? And like, what? Like, stuff like that. And I was like, they're like, this is real? I was like, oh, you guys don't know about this? I was like, whew, history lesson. So I was like, if you guys want to watch this, I'll buy this and we can have like a movie night on Discord or like, all right, sure. So I bought it. And I had seen this when it came out. I think with you, Jim, and maybe Buddha and Corey. Something like that.
I remember saw it in the theater.
Yeah,
with you
I think
guys.
we saw this. Yeah. Yeah, I think we went to Easton to see this, actually. Yeah. I think I remember that.
Just saw trailers for it and I'm like, what the fuck is that?
Well, I mean, the movie was so bad, I had forgotten most of it. Like, I seriously did not remember any of this, really. Like, I remember the overarching plot, but, like, watching this again, I was like, really? I was like, okay, it's still bad. But, I dare you to watch this again, because if you watch this again, you will blatantly and clearly see that this movie inspired Mass Effect to a T.
Really?
Yes. And we I
remember thinking like we've talked about this before, how like they're very similar. I feel like we talk so much Mass Effect. I do feel like that's come up before.
Yeah.
Really?
The scary thing is, like, a couple of us were talking about that, and then the one girl's husband, he came into the stream late and he's like, is this a Mass Effect animated movie? And we're like, no, this is Final Fantasy. He's like, what? And he's like, this looks like a Mass Effect thing. I was like, yep, we know. So we watched it. It's awful. Alec Baldwin's in it. Mulan's the voice actress for the main character. Steve Buscemi's in it. It's got an interesting, weird cast. But that was terrible. And then we actually confirmed it afterwards, by looking it up online, and the visual art director for Mass Effect 1 said that this movie heavily inspired the art direction for Mass Effect. But even past just the visuals, like kind of like the plot, like aspects of the plot and stuff like that, can be found in Mass Effect. So I thought that was interesting. It was worth the $5 and 2 hours of my time to relive that movie.
I have to be honest. When you said you saw 2 movies and then you said Blast from the Past, I thought you meant you saw a Blast from the Past. I was like,
which was a great movie. That's a great movie, by the way. Now I want to watch it.
No. But yeah, I also, against my better judgment, I watched Suicide Squad.
See, I just finished it. Like I just finished it maybe 45 minutes ago, so it's completely fresh. And I'm still decompressing it. But so, what did you think of it?
I don't think it's bad. It's not bad. I'm not saying
Exactly.
it's bad.
Exactly.
What I will say.
Gripe. What was it? Oh yes, go on. I have my.
What I will say is, I felt like it kind of didn't mean anything. It retread a lot of the ground from the first movie.
It did, but it did it better.
It did it better, but like it didn't add anything because. And here's my issue with it. Like going into it, I already even like said in an old podcast. I was like, when they're like, "Oh, look at all these actors that are going to be cast members." I'm like, half these people are going to die in the first fucking 5 minutes of the movie. Like just like what's his name? Fucking Kill Switch or whatever the fuck his name is.
Barb?
No, the first one.
No, Barb.
What's his name? Joyride or?
Yeah, the Barb of the movie.
Yeah, the Barb of the movie.
Slipknot.
Slipknot. Thank you. Yes, I knew it was some generic ass shit. But like it just felt like they retread pretty much the same plot, overarching plot of like the first Suicide Squad movie. Again, did it better. James Gunn, obviously knows how to, land humor a bit better and stuff like that. But honestly, like the plot, it's like you switch out Will Smith for Idris Elba and like a black character that shoots guns and is super accurate and stuff like that. Harley Quinn is swapped out with another character. It's like, oh look, the relationship kind of thing. I was like, what is this movie doing differently or adding to the DC cinematic universe? And I can't say much. Again, it's not bad, but I'm just like, it just felt like a waste of time. And
it was DC's popcorn flick, I think. That's what they're going for. Really. It didn't do much of a story.
And the other thing is too is like it's just overly gratuitous violence and gore, and I'm just like, I don't know. I'm just so desensitized to it now, especially after the past 2 years of like, The Boys and Invincible and, Walking Dead, Game of Thrones and all this other stuff. Like when people die, I'm just like, whatever. I don't care. Like it doesn't even register for me. Like it's supposed to shock you, but I'm just like.
No, for me, like that was my gripe. So like I enjoyed this movie. I thought it was a good movie. I thought it obviously it's the same movie, but I think it did it way better. And, I am biased with James Gunn behind it. I feel like he's a great director and he's got a great vision. And that being said, I kept really getting into this movie like having fun, and then the gratuitous violence would come in. And that was my gripe. I just was like, why? It doesn't need it. And I'm just like, it's R to be R, and I'm like, it doesn't have to be what it is. It could be a PG-13 movie and still be. It would have been. I think it would have been better.
It would be better as a PG-13 movie, obviously.
So it'd be interesting. Corey, you saw it. What did you think?
Well, I'll disagree with with some of what you said, and so essentially, I liked that it was just over the top, and like it was like that. Extra, if you want like the millennial terms. This movie was extra on every level as far as gratuity and violence and stuff. And we got a guest over here. He keeps popping in and out.
For me,
but I thought that was fun. Like I thought that was just like, all right, we got some crazy shark guy, and he's just being gross and disgusting, like you'd expect.
I didn't think he was crazy. He was just stupid.
No, I understand that. But to say that this was a good movie or it's not a good movie, it was okay. I agree with that aspect.
Yeah.
And I felt that they did a better job with making it fun. I think there was moments in this movie that I was literally like laughing out loud at some points.
Yeah.
Like I think my favorite part is when they go rescue Flag. That was like the best part because
I thought that was that was great. Yeah. But still, even then, it was still over the top. Like,
no,
I feel
absolutely, and that's what I liked about that. I like that part of it. But as far as like you're saying, to touch on what you were saying, Tony, with the characters, it doesn't mean anything really, because like where does it go? But at the same time, like if we could just like take this out of the DC universe and just look at it as its own thing and not have expectations for anything, I think it was a fine film. It was obviously a much better movie than a lot of the other the DC movies, but
it is. It's
sure.
And I would say, like, again, if it wasn't for the first Suicide Squad movie, like I'd be fine, like just looking at it in isolation, being like, okay, we can separate this out from the DCEU. It doesn't have to connect to that greater universe and stuff like that. But unfortunately, it does, because why? Like, and again, before he even came out, I was confused because I thought this was like a soft reboot or something like that. Then
Yeah.
the only hint that this actually was a sequel was one line of dialogue between like Boomerang and Harley in the very beginning. Like, Harley, what are you doing back in prison? She's like, I got caught, and I was like, that's it. Like, that's literally the only mention that this is.
Well, they do. She does say like Flag's her friend, and they have like they know each other.
Okay,
and stuff.
yes, yeah, like the
But
second.
like again, yeah, there isn't much to.
There's not much at all for the DC universe. This is its own movie on its own. There's really nothing else involved.
Right,
like,
and that's what, but that's what I'm saying. Like trying to look in isolation, but it's still tied to the original Suicide Squad. It just felt weird to me, and again, it's just.
But overall, I liked it though. I think I enjoyed it, and I'm glad it was. Oh, that's higher than I thought you were gonna give it. But I'm glad it was on HBO to watch because it was nice and convenient. And I agree with you, Jim. I'm not gonna go to the theater anytime soon. Right now, at this point, I think last week was probably my last one for a little while, just based off of how things have been curving here.
Curving, literally.
And
upward.
Yeah, this movie was far and above like way better experience than Snake Eyes. Like as far as the movie goes, and the enjoyability.
I mean, the thing is, you followed Snake Eyes up with this, which means you're gonna like this from what you described as Snake Eyes. I mean, there's really, you know what I mean? Like this would have to be a tragedy, like to.
I will say, if I paid for this, I'd probably lower the score, but because it was an HBO.
Oh, I can see that, but I do think it was
a
lot
of
fun.
Bad. It's not bad. It's fun.
Yeah, it's just fun. It's a lot of fun, and it's one of those.
7.5.
I would definitely, like I said, if you can just take this out and like just look at it as its own thing, I think it was good.
Sure.
So it's not great. It's definitely good.
It's interesting. Right. I wonder because most of the reviews of
they're just. I think it's getting a little bit of a overreaction because you compare it to the first one and it's like, well, this one's so much better, so it has to be like this. But I think it's a little bit of an overreaction, honestly.
Yeah, like I'd still put it under both Guardians movies, like in terms of anything.
Well, they don't compare. I don't think.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, I think that
these characters you don't care for.
I think.
I think you can because, like, if you think about it, Idris Elba, Bloodsport is analog to like a Star-Lord kind of. Mm-hmm. King Shark is sort of like a hybrid of Groot and Drax. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I guess.
Harley is I guess Gamora. Like that's the closest thing.
Yeah.
I do want to call out Ratcatcher 2. I think Ratcatcher 2 was.
She was the runaway.
Standout. And her storyline with her father was really good. I love the line that he has in the movie, and so that was really a nice moment.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing.
I liked Polka Dot Man.
I mean, I think if you're following a character, you're supposed to like them. You're willing to forgive lots of I just watched Loki. Like Loki is explicitly a villain. Like he's like had genocidal aspirations. Like he's killed people who were innocent and didn't care. And like by the end of this, you're like really rooting for him because you've spent some time with him and permutations. And I think if you follow anyone, like you're willing to forgive anything if they're like the protagonist, basically. So.
Well, they didn't really say what some of the characters did to get in jail. And like that was one weird thing where like one of the subplots was how one of the characters got coerced into the suicide mission anyway. About how like apparently anybody that goes to this prison can be like signed up or forced to do these things. And I was like, I thought it was just supervillains, but like the characters made it out to be.
They all essentially were though. They're all this.
Yeah, I know, and it was weird. And then one thing I will say is like, spoil it, but like. It's such a minor thing, but like the characters around Amanda Waller, like her staff or whatever like that, seems so like weirded out and conflicted by some of the things she was saying because she's Amanda Waller and she says some shit. She's that person. She's the person that does stuff that nobody else will do, and I think that's even how she describes herself. But like they're all like whoa, she's serious. I'm like, how long have you worked here? Like a week? You're real fucking new? Like she's definitely had to have said some of this shit before, and they even had like.
I mean, come on. There's a scene where they're like.
Yeah, they have a pool.
They have a dead pool, and it's like.
Yeah, they do have it.
And it's, okay, sure, you're gonna draw a line there, but okay.
Yeah. All right. Tony, anything else?
Yes, those two. What else
Blast
could
from the
I?
Past.
What's gonna fit in that week, man? Like,
Yeah, Corey.
I actually watched a bunch. Because I was gonna start out by saying I watched the DC movie that came out this summer. Two of them, the Long Halloween animated.
Oh yeah, how
movies.
was it?
And I have to say,
I want to watch it.
Are those on HBO Max now?
No,
No.
they're not. No, that's why
They
it took
will
so
be
long
soon.
for me to get to see these. But yeah, the animation is fantastic in this. Like, it's probably the best animated movie that they've done
Really?
so far. Like, it's so good,
Wow.
and I really appreciate them using more of the Batman animated series art instead of the comic book
cool.
style. So it's not drastically different, but it is more of the animated series style.
I
And
do
it's just
recall that comics art was kind of eh.
yeah, it's unique, but like it is one of those things where you see how important this story is to a lot of the screenwriters of the Batman movies, because it's just like everything that is in this movie is getting pulled from into these other movies, and just like different things here and there. Like a lot of the Dark Knight is heavily influenced by this, and it seems like the Pattinson movie is going to be heavily influenced in this.
Yeah.
And it's just such a great story, and it's very cool. I read it a long time ago, but I don't remember everything. But I did have, like, in the back of my mind, I was like, because it's a mystery, so it's like, who's the killer? And I was like, I think I know who it is. So the whole time I'm watching, I was like, I think I know, and so that was kind of distracting me a little bit because of that idea. But then it turned out to be true, and I was like, oh well, why did I worry so much during this whole thing? But it's awesome because it is 2 parts, so it's like essentially a 3-hour, almost 3 hours.
I do recall, I read the comic a while ago too. I do recall it having a little bit of a non-ending too.
I do think they ended, because again, I don't remember everything, but I think they end this a little bit happier than they do in the comic book. And there's a little bit of a, not of a letdown, but kind of like a, oh, well, just going to leave it this way, I guess. The funny thing is Batman's terrible in this. He's like makes mistakes all the time. And because it's like his first real like mystery case. He's not a good detective. He's still like kind of feeling himself out. But yeah, it's very good. Highly recommend. Like I said, probably the best animation I've seen in a DC movie so far. Other thing was Ted Lasso, obviously. Watch that.
Yeah. I watched those too. It's a great show.
Yep. I got it. I'll be right back though.
Sure. All right. Let's go into the box office, and then, well, which ties into the news. So as we mentioned before, the COVID variant is kind of moving around a lot. Did that affect Suicide Squad, or did HBO Max, or did Suicide Squad just not have a good opening?
Probably a combination of all three of those.
Yeah, because I mean, it opened at what, 26.2 million, which is probably under what they were expecting.
Definitely bad. And even HBO subscription, whatever their metric is,
wonder what that number was
down compared to Mortal Kombat, which is
but they still said what, like 2.8 million households, which you extrapolate like 2 people per each one, like $20 tickets. It's almost like you're missing like 60, 70 million from the box office with that. But and no, they didn't have to pay anything new. That's the difference too between the Disney Plus thing.
Yeah, so Disney's format's really not a bad format for like people that choose the movies they want to watch at home and pay the extra money. It makes more sense than HBO's format. But I mean, I liked that it was free. Like Tony said, like I didn't have to go to the theaters, and it gets an enhanced score because it was free for me. So it was like more enjoyable. You didn't really pay for it. Like, it better be good, but it was good. But 26.2 million. Jungle Cruise, though, this is where the argument hurts. I mean, it hurts Suicide Squad more because Jungle Cruise had a good hold at 15.8 million for the second week, which if
counter programming there for the children.
Yeah, sure. But that just goes into this
R-rated movie.
What I would consider systemic problem of Warner Brothers and DC is that they make their movie, like, other than Corey, and I know he's not here to defend, but like, there's no reason this movie had to be R, really, other than
PG-13 got so much better.
A free pass to be like, hey, dude, you need some work. We're gonna do you a solid and just do whatever the fuck you want, minus putting Superman as the villain, because that's what you wanted to do originally. But like, it's R-rated. It's a sequel to a movie that was anybody really asking for a sequel to? Because like the thing is, Harley Quinn is in it, but in my opinion, she didn't need to be, and she didn't really even have that
very
big
minor character,
right?
Yeah.
You could take her part out of this movie, and it would not change at all, really. Like somebody else could do anything that she had done in the movie, which is not.
Well, she kind of did the other guy's job. With the trident, the spear. I mean, that really wasn't hers.
Spoilers. I'm trying to be spoiler free here.
That's completely vague.
No, I know, but the other thing is too is like, and then you have the naming problem. Why are you calling it Suicide Squad again? Like, give it something like Suicide Squad 2, Suicide Squad Electric Boogaloo, something. But like, it doesn't stand out from the first one because other people I had to talk to, I was like, oh, I'm about to watch Suicide Squad. They're like, why? That's old. And I was like, no, I'm talking about the new one. They're like, there's a new one. I was like,
oh wow,
yeah. Fuck that. It's just it's again like the emancipation of Harley Quinn, blah blah blah. That they're like, oh, you know what, Birds of Prey. That's what we should have done in the first place. It's just like I don't know. Like Warner Brothers just fucking have butterfingers. Every time they have something good, they just drop the ball. I'm sorry to say that, but that's my opinion.
Well,
anyway,
the titling has been really off on a lot of their stuff, like you said. So that
it's a combination. Too. Like any one of these things could probably
marketing,
but like just bad name, sequel that nobody really cared for. And again, like, and here's my part is like, we had 2 fucking Suicide Squad movies and not one Batman, not one Superman movie. Like,
yeah, yeah. I love how I'm on Box Office Mojo and they did a 4-day total was 26.2 million, whereas 4-day total versus the original Suicide Squad at 146. I'm like, you can't do this.
I'm hating on the movie, but you can't compare that. That's pre-COVID. But I will say that like this is a disappointing total for sure. And yeah, I'm not saying it's all against the marketing or Warner Brothers. I'm sure the Delta variant has to play with it. I'm sure the HBO Max day one has to do with it still. But like to me, that doesn't read like a good sign. But again, if they just wanted a one shot with James Gunn to do this to, get trademarks on all these character names that they had to put in, like the 13 that die in the first 2 minutes of the movie, spoiler. Just, whatever.
Yeah. All right, let's get into some news. Bad Batch, Star Wars Bad Batch, which I haven't gotten to really watch yet because the first episode is like 2 hours long, is going to return for a second season in 2022. And the finale, I guess, premieres this weekend. So starting tomorrow, actually, that was today. No, it's tomorrow. Yesterday. Oh no, I'm way off. That was the 5th. Man, I lost it. I was in Lake George. I lost a lot of time. So yeah.
You sure you didn't go to that old beach?
Yeah. No, it was Old Beach. Where? No. Yeah. Old. God, that movie. That's right. Nope. Did not lose my mind there, but I did get, like I said, may have gotten food poisoning, but we're still out in that one. Let's see. The Witcher has a animated anime style show coming out, which do you guys watch the trailer for this? Corey, you said it looked pretty good, right? I mean, it
looks good.
Yeah, I think
I'll watch it.
Like I watched this actually because I have no,
Witcher.
Yeah.
I was like I remember we talked about the Michelle Yeoh Witcher show, and I was like, I thought that's what this was. I was like, wait, they're doing another thing. So they've got like 3 Witcher things in the works there at Netflix.
Well, Netflix plus, popular property plus anime, even better combination.
Usually do pretty good.
Yeah, just tying this in with the other animated news we have in the news here. Did you guys see the South Park news that came out?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Paramount. Isn't it crazy? $900 million that Matt Stone and Trey Parker got. They got towards this deal. So they're in a multi-year deal with CBS to include 4 more seasons of the comedy at Comedy Central, and then 14 original movies for Paramount Plus for South Park over the next 6 years. Right? 6 years? Yeah, 6 years. 14 movies over 6. Now, of course, these are probably like, individual character movies. They're not like super full-length features, but still a lot.
They could be like hour long too. So
$900 million plus.
Yeah, I mean,
it was 900 plus.
They're making bank. And plus what? How many video games they said, I think, too, or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, we got
there's another one in the works too.
We got that news coming on the Gamecast. Yeah, we'll be talking about that over there.
Yeah. But what was it? Matt and Trey, right?
Yeah, Matt Stone, Trey Parker.
Yeah. They're making bank. Good for them, man. Like, that's awesome. And honestly, like, is there anything else on Comedy Central or related to Comedy Central that like does well anymore? Like, I
don't even know what's on Comedy Central anymore. Really, I don't. I didn't even know this was still on there. I thought they just moved it to streaming. Because it's like it should be really.
Yeah, but I mean, it
big
makes
get
sense
for Paramount Plus though.
But I mean, yeah, I mean, it makes sense because you get content from Paramount Plus. I mean, at least business-wise. Plus, from my understanding, they can relatively, compared to a live-action, full-budget movie, they are way cheaper.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's still their original concept is still in play here, where they can throw an episode together in a week. I mean, it's unbelievable that that's what has made them so successful. It's so cheap to do.
Right. The timing is that you can have an episode of something that happened last week, and it's like you can be in that zeitgeist with whenever it's happening. Yeah. You can be a part of the conversation, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just crazy to think that, I mean, I remember when like they did the WoW episode, and that was years ago at this point, at least a decade, right. And that was a huge deal. They obviously had the movie and stuff like that. It's just, really good for them. And I know we've talked about this on the podcast, but all I can think of anytime I hear like positive news about them and South Park and the franchise is like, remember those old Marvel CD-ROM interactive like movie maker things where it was like, pre-animated stuff and like you could voice things. Like I just think like that's what they're doing, but obviously on a much higher professional level. But that is effectively what they're doing. I'm not trying to take away from them.
No,
like that is what they're doing.
But that's the idea. Like it's like the Post-it note guy. Like you just had that idea. And it's just the most basic thing, but you're like, you did it. You did it right.
So props to them. Kudos. And somehow South Park has managed to stay relevant, and to my knowledge, hasn't grown really stale or old.
No,
or anything like
it's
that.
still fun to. I have tuned into a couple of them from the recent episodes, and it's still good. I mean, it's not like it's like Simpsons feels like there's no magic there anymore. Whereas it still has those episodes where they can hit it, and you know what I mean. Like, not to say every episode's fantastic from this company anymore, from these guys, but like they still have those like, okay, they nailed this topic, that kind of thing. So, and that's because they do it right. They just because they hit everything, and if you hit everything, you know what I mean. Just make fun of everything. Remember, it's just like do it all.
Yep.
Good writers. So
and. Yeah, so good for them. $900 million, and we'll be talking about them on the Gamecast because of this, actually. So look for that.
Have many of you guys tried Paramount Plus, though?
Yes, I have. The interface is terrible.
It's broken.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's broken. I mean, it crashes a lot, I guess, but I don't know how broken it is.
Like half the time, like I can get through one episode of something, and then it crashes.
Yes. Okay.
Most of the time, you get black screens where there should be commercials.
I feel bad to tell you this now, Mike, but when we were about a year ago, my fiance actually loves a lot of the CBS original shows. And we're like, well, we don't have to pay for cable because we'll just stream them on the CBS app. But like and this was last year, they would get like halfway through the episode and then they would restart, and it would just keep doing it. And it's still doing it now, and it's a year later. So yes. I don't know where if the money's not going in the app. I mean, obviously they're paying for creators, but Jesus, they need to update this app because like HBO launched their app and it's a very similar interface.
Not great though, man.
No, it's a very similar interface, but it works. You know what I mean? It doesn't crash.
At least you can watch the movie, but you can't rewind or you can't fast forward. It's like,
I can.
It crashes
I skip through.
Crashes my
I skip through the post credits on this. I skipped through for the post credits. So, but
the credits, not the post credit scene.
Yes.
I couldn't. It crashed my app every time I tried to do
it. In weird news for people who have just finished Suicide Squad, Idris Elba tweeted out today, "Knock knock," and he's now officially.
I was like, wait, what the fuck? This guy is gonna be
Knuckles. He's Knuckles in the Sonic 2 movie. Crazy, right?
Knuckles, the enchilada.
I think he's got a good voice. He's got a good.
He's definitely got a unique voice where if you hear him, you know it's him.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's why I'm like a little concerned.
I'm a little confused by how his accent will go into that, but I mean,
I can see it. It works.
Angel Island might be like British, I guess.
Yeah. Good for him. I'm actually excited for this movie. Being's like.
Yeah, that was the last. Was great. I think that was the last movie I watched. The years last year, right?
Yeah. Well, that was the last movie pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID,
that was it.
Yeah, I hope there's a little more meat to this one, because the last one was kind of just silly and fun. But it'll be interesting to see how he's involved here. We saw Tails at the end of the last one, post credits. So. That's it. That's your core three, pretty much.
Yeah. So, All right. There's actually something I've been following, and that's why I posted it on here for Netflix. They have an upcoming live action series for the Addams Family called Wednesday. And I actually love the Addams Family movies. I just love the casting on those movies. I thought was like spot on to like the show. And, Raul Julia was so good. Christopher Lloyd was, the uncle, I can't remember.
Fester.
Wow, I'm blanking on him. Fester, thank you. So Catherine Zeta-Jones has been cast as Morticia Addams, and Luis Guzman is Gomez Addams. Now, Luis Guzman is one of my favorite movies of all time. He's been in other things, but he was in The Count of Monte Cristo, and I love this character in that movie. And I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like, I really like him cast as Gomez, and I think she's a great Morticia. If you just picture it, right?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Like, he's the one. Funny is like more of a stretch.
There's that Wednesday Addams YouTube show. I was like, is this part of that or something? And then I was like, oh, this has got to be something different.
Yeah. No, I'm excited for this because, like I said, I love those movies, and I definitely would check this out without a doubt. And I'm interested in the Munsters, the Rob Zombie Munsters show that's being produced. I don't know, something about the nostalgia aspect of things. As I get older, I want to go back and kind of, you want to see those shows. Yeah. So,
that's why we're seeing so much.
Yes. So, lastly in the news, we have the Marvel's What If show, which is premiering Friday. Is that this Friday?
Tomorrow.
Oh my God, that's right. They do Wednesdays now. Yes. So yeah, I forgot that was coming out this week, and we got the connections basically. It is canon. Like, this show is canon in the Marvel universe. I don't know.
Isn't the whole premise that it's not?
Yes, but I guess for what it tells, it is. I
think that
this is all multiverse stuff, right?
Are they variants? What is happening here?
I kind of feel like this is just to sort of trick people into thinking something is more important than it is.
So you watch it? Yeah, could be. Could very well be on that, but I'm excited for this.
Well, I think it's Jeffrey Wright's character is going to be showing up in other things for sure.
Yeah, I think so.
Right. I mean, but the other thing is, like, now because of this, they have the potential to explore this in other Marvel stuff, not just movies, but I mean, we could see like original live action shows based on the reception to some of these concepts and characters and stuff like that. Because I mean, how many times have we been like, oh man, like they had a great villain, and of course they had to kill him off or something like that, like like Kilgore. Like, I'd love to see more of him because I thought Black Panther kind of did him kind of dirty and stuff like that. So we'll see. But yeah, it could also be the opposite, where it's like they're just trying to bait you into watching it. Whatever, we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's something that's unique and interesting in my opinion, and I'm excited to see where it goes. And if it's going to be canon, it's going to be canon because of the Watcher. It's the Watcher. That's who he's playing.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Yep, the Watcher.
Yeah. So I think that's what it's going to come out of. And then because they basically said, oh, Agent Carter and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. isn't canon, so now you can maybe do some spin-offs there with what we have here.
Live action Captain Carter now.
Who knows?
I mean, the actress is fantastic.
I thought she was great from that show. Yeah, absolutely. I think that I lost her. What's her name? The actress that played her?
What
was it?
Haley Atwell.
Haley Atwell, thank you.
Yeah.
I thought she was great. And yeah, I would love to see her reprise that role in something that's actually considered canon now. I feel like that stuff should be, but that's another argument, Mike. That's another argument for all this stuff, obviously.
That one, even more than Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., was very specifically tied to movies, but whatever. My mother actually watched that show. She liked that show. Because I guess, she sort of, not exactly, but that was like her parents' time.
Right.
So that was interesting.
Yeah. All right. That's kind of it for the movie news this week. We've got we got a lot of stuff going on with this. With the COVID variant, it's going to make it interesting, but there's still a lot of movies going to be launching very soon. And obviously the box office numbers aside, I think everybody's got to be basically taking a wash this year in budgets. Like, just be like, well, what are you supposed to do here? You got to release stuff eventually. It's going to be interesting to see how Shang-Chi does as we get closer. Under 4 weeks now, and I really want.
Yeah. I mean, if it wasn't for the COVID, if it wasn't for Delta spiking up so fucking high, I would absolutely have bet like, yep, $100 million.
Oh, easy,
guaranteed.
Yeah.
But now it's just like, I don't know anymore. It's really scary not to be like too drab or dreary for a fun movie cast, but man, those numbers coming out and the news from states like Florida and Texas is just not
fucking Florida.
and Texas.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like, I know more about Florida because I have family there, and it's just I'm more invested in Florida, and just like everything.
That's true.
Ridiculous people.
Well, hopefully things get better soon with it. I mean, just vaccinations. Just get vaccinated.
Yeah, I mean, the silver lining here is the vaccinations apparently are higher, the highest levels since they've been since I think June or something like that. So that's good. We're upward on that. But man, it's just it's really depressing. Huh?
How could they go down?
Because people
they went stagnant for a while.
People are talking about new vaccinations.
New vaccinations.
Once we hit that stride like mid-May, and then they went stagnant after mid-May because like everybody that wanted to get vaccinated got vaccinated, and it was like okay. And then we got these conspiracy idiots that aren't ever going to get vaccinated, and then we have the people who are on the fence because they didn't know if it was safe. Those people are finally getting vaccinated, and that's the ones that are going to push us over this limit that we really need to be into. Forget the conspiracy idiots; they're going to be in their abyss forever, and whatever they can go die in a fire for all I give a shit. I'm glad that the people are seeing the light. The right way of getting the vaccine, doing your duty to help the world get vaccinated, and that is your duty as a human being.
Yeah, it really is, and the thing is, it's at the point, and I know it's like again the movie cast, but it's at the point where like you just need to fucking do it because the sooner we get people at the level where it's basically herd immunity, and it's still possible. It's harder now, obviously, but it's still possible. But the thing is like. We're scared of the Delta variant now because it's more contagious than the previous variant. But if we don't get the Delta under control, there will be something else. There will be either
if it's
Gamma.
What doesn't
or
kill
Lambda,
you mutates and tries again.
Exactly. And then that's the scary part where if we get a new variant where the existing vaccines don't protect you against, that is going to be fucking scary.
That's when we go backwards.
Yeah.
Entirely backwards. That's when we walk back down again.
People, we should be coming together and trying to work on this to solve it because everybody's hurting. We're all hurting. That's how we did it.
That's how the vaccine was developed. We actually did something right for a change, and massive amount of money goes into a vaccine. Yeah, it's amazing what can happen.
I just don't know what will incentivize people. I mean, there was like lotteries. People were giving. What was it? One of the beer companies said they give away free beer if we reached Biden's goal or something like that. Heck, my company was even like, we'll give you $50 if you attest that you've gotten your vaccination. Now I read this article that some insurance companies are going to start doing fees if you don't get vaccinated because it's like, well, you're a higher risk now, so fuck you. And it's like something's got to give. Something's got to incentivize.
I'm hoping these private companies and and hopefully public traded companies they start implementing rules like, hey, like there's a certain
get vaccinated or get the fuck out.
You gotta
do Netflix last week we talked about that. Netflix mandating that. Good for them. And so. All right, it's going to wrap up this episode of the Moviecast. Thanks for tuning in. You can write us allyoucangeek@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment. We appreciate it, guys. We'll see you next week.